speak up. So, but we'll try to make sure, hopefully, again, these are very informal, but they're also, kind of where I enjoy talking to residents. They tell everyone, see what's going on.
He always gets in trouble.
Well, again, thank you. First of all, thank you for coming out this morning. Takes some time out of your busy schedules. As always, we try to make sure we put out some of the material stuff that we have going on. Again, we'll talk about some of these boards. And again, we try to keep the residents updated what's going on. And but there's a lot going on in the village today. We know that we're here this morning to meet the mayor. We've got the annual senior chili cook-off, and I get to be a judge again this year. So please say a prayer for me. I think Rose told me there's something like 16 different chilies, if I remember right. So by the time I get done tasting every one of those little tastes, and hopefully I don't go back, I'll probably end up having 2 bowls before I get to the line, right? So, but I'm excited. I love doing the taste testing, and I'm always happy for the winners and feel bad for the ones that don't get to win. But I tell you what, it's our village, right? This is part of volunteering. This is part about meeting the residents, coming out and saying, here, have some chili. It's time, and it's not a bad price. $3 a bowl for all you can eat. As long as supplies last. Right? We're going to throw that throw that little disclaimer in there, right? So, but again, we've got that going on. Think about this month is Easter, right? So there's a lot going on the last week of the month, or the 26th, I think we have some extra days maybe. But the 26th of this month is Saturday, if I remember right. We've got Easter egg hunt back here for Parks and Recs. Their annual Easter egg hunt in conjunction with the clan. And then we've got the Church of God is having their annual Easter egg hunt. So the kids should be, what should we say, bouncing off the walls by Saturday night, right?
Sugar high.
So there we go, that's our sugar high. A lot of things going on during this month. Tonight, who knows what tonight is? Daylight savings time.
What's that?
Spring forward. Spring forward. So make sure you turn those clocks up an hour ahead, or if you forget to do it tonight, you might want to do it. Hey, Ethan, why don't you go help open the door back there? But make sure you spring your clocks ahead, 1 hour tonight or tomorrow morning, whichever is easier for you. So I told my wife, I said, it's not like I'm not tired enough. I'm losing an hour's sleep, but again, daylight savings time tonight. So, kind of a little bit of things we throw out. I've got a bunch of stuff we talk about, but this is time where you can talk to me and I can talk to you. So what we're going to do is we'll open up, and what we'll do is if we get any lows, I'll go off and have an entire folder of stuff I can talk about. So I'll kind of keep getting abreast of what's going on. How about questions? Anyone have any questions?
I got a question about beef girls. When are we going to get some more?
Rain Girls.
Rain Girl lady just walked in.
There she is. Look at that.
Thank
You have updates on Rain Girls?
Yes, we're going to start it up April 1st. Again.
So that's why I like to make sure you stick it out there.
Anybody who has any issues with the last order or the new order, it's going to start up April 1st. Yeah, they had a little problem at the end. They changed vendors, and people that were doing the delivery kind of messed up on some orders. So we plan on attacking that heavily on the 1st of April.
There you go. So you'll start seeing stuff come out, stop talking, and everything? Yes.
We need to introduce our newest resident.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
What's that?
We need to introduce our newest resident.
Introduce our newest resident.
Okay, this is Azim Williams Bay who would like to meet the mayor.
There you go. Thank you for coming out.
And registered. He's only five weeks old, and it's been a little too long. So,
And I see he listens to me the same way my wife does, with his eyes closed.
And look at that smile. Oh, my goodness.
Well, thank you very much.
Just.
I'll say, all right, Chuck, you got a question, right?
Yeah, can you say anything yet, what's going on in the corner or no? I'm not putting you on the spot, if you can't, you can't.
Which corner?
Right here. The one right here.
Oh, right here in the corner? So the question is, what's going on in the corner? I gotta remember, repeat these questions so I can hear it on there. The corner down here, they're doing demolition on the corners, and I can't really talk about what's going in there yet. There's some word about what's going to go in there, and we've got some developers looking at the corner of Sauk Trail and Torrance Avenue. As you see, the old car wash came down. They're looking at taking down the old Jiffy Lube. So, we're staying positive. We're hoping that things work well. And as we all know, we're going to talk about right here in a little bit, is things are kind of up in the air in the state of Illinois, right? We know that there's no budgets. We know that businesses rely heavily on what's happening in the state. So, what we see here is the things we have is with businesses coming to communities and businesses making commitments. A lot depends on what's happening in our state. So, we're hoping that things can start changing around down in Springfield, but it does not look positive. In fact, it looks pretty negative. When you look at, I talked to state representatives and senators down in Springfield. They're saying they may not have a budget passed until January of next year. So that's pretty bleak for our state. Yes?
Well, one's going down, we have a new coming up, we got the new cafe opening
Hey,
Monday.
we do. Let's talk about some of the new stuff. And in fact, if you got Sauk Talk, Sauk Talk just came out, and it's out on the back table, so if you didn't get one. But we have the new cafe opening up on the 14th, which is on the corner of Sauk Trail and Community Court. Right next door to it, where the old Ace, or Saukville Harbor used to be, you saw that pink beauty salon opened up. So we've got the two new businesses there. We've got the daycare center that should be opening up within the first quarter, which is back where old Bonnie's used to be. That is reopening. So we're starting to see where we saw some businesses leave Sauk Village, but we're also starting now to see some come back, or not the same businesses, but new businesses. So it's always good to see, especially economic development, any type of economic growth in our community. Anyone else? For you? All right, well, I'll take the questions. Again, don't be shy. Let's talk about our board. We try to make sure we keep residents up to date on fire hydrants. This is one of the issues. There's multiple issues when it became mayor where people had, and this is one of the issues that we focus on. So this sits in front of my desk every day. The only time it comes out of my office is when I bring it out to show the residents. Okay? So we know exactly, this is what we call where fire hydrants that do not work. Okay? Now the good thing is, where you see the green stars, those are fire hydrants that did not work that are now operational, and they've either been repaired or they have been replaced. So as you drive around town, you see new fire hydrants popping up. So what we do is, you'll see dots go on there, okay? Some areas of town, we know that we have to have some valves put in. That requires having an outside company come in and dig in and put valves, so it makes it a little bit easier for them to shut off certain parts of the area, rather than shutting off the whole entire south side, right? Or shutting off the whole entire north side. So we're working on getting those companies in here. They're quoting to be able to put valves in for us, and sometimes it'll take time. Everyone remembers there was a leak on Sauk Trail, right? You remember seeing it bubbling up right there at Sauk Trail? That was because a valve had to be put in on Jeffrey Avenue. So while people were asking, when are you going to fix this leak? When are you going to fix this leak? It's on Sauk Trail. We were working on getting that valve installed. Okay, once that valve was installed, Public Works was able to repair the leak. There's no longer a leak. Okay? And this is what happens a lot of times where there's issues. People will escalate it and try to make big deals out of it, but you don't hear anything out of the leak's fixed, right? Sometimes you wish people would come back and say thank you, but they don't always say thank you. So this is something we focus on. My goal, one of my goals is I want to see all green stars on here. Now this is if you want to call it a living board for me, because like in the quality where we say we have living documents, right? Things that change constantly. Well, we know that this board changes constantly because we've got people that drive, they hit fire hydrants, they run them over, there's accidents. There could be a valve that's, fire hydrant that's turned on at a fire call, and all of a sudden we've got the inner workings might crack or break, and we have an older system. So as things like that happen, those stars will change, okay? What you see is red star is something that is not or has not been worked on at all. Yellow, it means that it's in the process of either ordering parts, putting it on the schedule to be repaired or replaced, and the green stars mean that they're all taken care of. They're all working again. They've either been repaired, replaced, and they're working order. So again, my goal is to see all green stars winter. And when I first came in, they were all red. Okay. So it takes time. You know, a lot of work that happens to get those things repaired are from our public works department. Public works department just doesn't handle fire hydrants, right? During the winter, they're plowing your streets. During summer, they're cleaning your streets. They're replacing fire hydrants. They're repairing water main breaks. They're cutting trees down. They're chipping trees. They're doing maintenance around the village. They take care of our fleet. They're the ones that change the oil, change the headlights on our cars. So they do a lot of work rather than just one thing. So they're out there working. We have a great crew. We have a great director who heads that up, which is Kevin Muller. Kevin's been in the village for quite some time now. He's worked his way all the way from the bottom, all the way up to the director, so he knows every aspect of the public works department, and he's been trained throughout the years with the best. I was just talking to Kevin the other day. He was around when Ed Neff was here. I remember Ed when I was a young boy. He was here when Mike Wall was here. So you think about all the training he's had over the years and the expertise. So he's doing a great job. And sometimes people want to complain because they may have a pothole. Again, another thing that the public works does, right? It fills our potholes, right? So people may want to complain, but he's out there and he's juggling all these things, trying to make sure everything gets done. So, yes.
And what I look at is this: with all of this you're talking about being doing, people have been laid off, have that the court enforcement is here, but yet and still they're doing the same job that the other 12 guys are doing. They do the thing that they do in the street, plowing the snow, filling up these holes, and doing like that. And the rest of the stuff you look at, the fire hydrant and things like that. They go to work and say, well, this is being done. And I tell a lot of people sometimes, you look at it like this. When those fire hydrants were built, these buildings were full. Now it's not full anymore, but you still go out and find a way to put all of this stuff done with less money than what was here before. And to me, that would be something that I'm a person like this. I stand up and I talk to you all the time to tell you how I feel about stuff like that. But to go to work and say, well, this isn't being done, that being done. I mean, it takes money to do these things. And it takes a person that knows how to run business to get this stuff done. You can always talk about, well, if I had $1 million, I would put a light up there. But what if I put a light up there and don't have that $1 million? Come and tell me that's a good job. That's what I do. And that's what I would like to see the rest of the people do. Instead of complaining so much, come and say, well, what can I have to do? That's what I do. I come and say, this morning, I was coming out and I saw a young man get out of his car, take a bag, and walk over to the guy. I said, thank you, young man. He said, for what? I was not throwing it on the street. See, that's what I do. That's what we need to do as a village. Come together and try to work to make it back like it used to be. Because I know when I first came out, I mean, you didn't see that. People was proud. Let's make that village proud again. We can do that. Come put anything on sports on up to whatever we want, East Egg on or whatever we can do. If we put together, we can make this thing work.
Chuck.
It says here in your article, in your Sauk, that UCR reported crime, I'm assuming this is our town, has dropped 54%.
Correct, for 2015.
course, we know other places are crazy right now, especially the city, but how do I say this? I don't know how to word the question. What do you think why? I mean, everybody else's crime is going up, ours goes down by 54%.
It deals with the leadership of the department.
Okay.
And I have no doubt about it. Your question is, sorry, Ed, your question is, why is our crime going down? Okay, when we see crime going up everywhere else. Okay? It's because of the leadership of the department. We have a chief in there now who came to Sauk Village with the knowledge, the experience on how to run a department. And he also has the resources that's needed for our community. Okay? He is not just a 9 to 5 or, like we saw in the past, maybe a 7 to 2:30 police chief.
When I want to.
Right? Right.
Right.
He's a police chief who is out there with the people. He's a police chief who wants to meet the people. You think about the meetings he attends. You know, a lot of residents only see him on Tuesday nights. Okay? He's here almost every Tuesday night that we're here. Plus, he's also attending meetings throughout the Southland region on behalf of the residents of Sauk Village. He's getting the resources to bring back or through these meetings. He's learning what's happening in other communities so he can come back and combat it here in Sauk Village. Okay? Tell you what type of chief he is. In the past, we had chiefs who sat in the office. Okay? He's the type of chief that when there's a problem, he's out there on the streets. He's the type of chief that is backing up the officers on a traffic stop. He's the type of chief that when there's something going on in your neighborhood, he's the one that's knocking on your door saying, don't worry, we got everything under control. Do you have any questions? Okay? He is involved, number one. Number two, he's out there finding out what's happening in the community so it doesn't happen here in Sauk Village. And he's out there on the streets. That's what it takes. It takes someone who is going to get out there rather than just sit behind a desk and say, I'm just an administrative part and I'm just going to sit here and do paperwork. It takes someone who's going to talk to the residents. And again, we saw our PR, our police department, in the past years, they were down. We were receiving complaints about our police officers, probably weekly. We were receiving complaints about our police department and even the administration level, saying, I'm trying to come in here and talk to your chief, your deputy chiefs, I try to talk to your sergeants, no one will meet with me, right? We're seeing those complaints drop because people are realizing the chief's here to talk to me, you know, unless he's on the street, so they'll get back with him. Right? That's what it takes. Again, we're working on getting our PR back to our police department. You know, I was a cadet back in the 1980s, right, on the Sauk Village Police Department. I was a cadet when we used to have the baseball cards with the police officers. Remember those?
I saw that.
There you go. I remember it was nothing for a police officer to drive down the street and see a bunch of kids and stop and pass those baseball cards out, right? You know, trying to get that relationship back with our police officers and our kids. You know, the police officer is not bad. No matter what you hear today, what people say, the police officer is not bad. Police officers are here to protect us. They put their lives on the line every single day. Think about that. Can you imagine you leaving your house every day not knowing if you're going to come back? But they do it willingly. I tell everyone in these meetings, think about this. When a gunshot is fired, everyone's heading the opposite direction, except for the police officers. The police officer is heading toward that gunshot. So your police officers are not bad. We're trying to turn that around so people realize police officers are good. You know, when you see a police officer on the street, you don't have to run unless you're doing something bad. Right? The kids should not be afraid when they see a police car pull up. Especially if they're just walking down the street and they're having a good time. They should be able to say hello. They should know they're police officers. We knew our police officers. You know, we had special names for them, Officer Friendly. Remember Rusty Jones?
Yeah.
I talked to Rick the other day. But, you know, we need to get them back. Change that thought. And he's doing that. He's out there. He's talking to residents. And, you know, how many times did I hear under previous chiefs, you need to send those officers to charm school because they don't know how to talk, right? we're receiving letters now at board meetings that are being read, thanking the police department for what they did. Thanking them for turning things around immediately. How many times have you heard in the past where someone broke in their house and months later they're trying to say, coming back and saying, did you find anything? Did you find anything? Did you find anything? Nothing was getting done. So, I'm thankful that Chief Kowalski was willing to come to Sauk Village. I'm thankful he applied for the position. And because I tell you, with someone with as much knowledge that he has, he probably could have went to any major city. Think about this, he was a special, I don't have the notes in front of me, he worked for the FBI, he was a special agent. Think about the experience he has. Think about the wealth of connections he has. He's worked with the FBI, he's worked with Cook County, he's worked with the state of Illinois. And he's well known. It's amazing how many times I go to a mayor's manager's meeting, or I go to some mayor's caucus meetings, or Illinois IML meeting. I go there, and someone come up to me and say, "Hey, I heard you hired Kowalski." No, your dad, your chief's more known than your mayor. So I haven't heard anything bad about him. And when you look at it, he was the chief over all Cook County hospitals for their police departments in Cook County. You know, their officers say, "Hey, I hear you hired my old commander, officer commander." You know, they have nothing bad to say about him. So, it's about leadership. Right.
The other thing I saw, I think it was last week or week before, looked like all the tactical vehicles and stuff were here. Was there some kind of special training or something going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. With the training going on, the chief has been working with other communities to make sure we have training. There's also some, I don't want to say too much, but there's also some raids going on. He's going after criminal element. Okay? And there's another thing we had problems with in the past. Residents would come, there's even residents sitting in this room, that would say, "I know they're selling drugs across the street. Nothing's happened. I know there's criminal activity going on across the street from my house. I've given the information to the chief, I've given the information to the police department. They do nothing." Right? This chief, once he gets the information, he acts on it. Now I tell everyone, sometimes the police department doesn't move as fast as you think they should move, but they are investigating. And if I would ask for a show of hands, I'm sure there are people here who would say, that drug house is no longer across the street from me. Right? They would say,
1 week.
they would say, you know what? He went after him. So when he gets complaints, the investigation starts to find out the real why. Because sometimes you get complaints from residents because they don't like the person next to them. So but they go through their investigation, and once they find out they have enough information, he's calling in for mutual aid. We're part of the South Suburban Mayor's and Managers Gang Task Force. We're also part of the South Suburban Gang Task Force. I think he's now in charge. He's also involved with another one. So we have responses coming from all around. So you'll see Cook County, state, ATF, other communities, like Stager.
Yeah, the whole parking lot was filled with police officers. I mean, it's all the whole thing.
You've got that going on, and then probably last week when you saw our department becomes a command center, we know that it might have been around the time that that individual who ran from police officer, they found dead in the forest reserve. Okay, so because of the area where it happened, our police department becomes a command center. Okay, we know that if you've been keeping up with it, a couple individuals fled from Dalton, right? And they ended up coming, and they found out here because they stole the phone, so they were able to find out where the phone was located. It was here in Sauk Village. Dalton called and asked for mutual aid from Sauk Village to the individuals. We saw the individuals fled. Finally, one individual gave himself up. The other individual did not. The other individual ran into Forest Preserve property. Cook County came out along with the Forest Preserve. They did checks. They didn't find anything. Later, the mother of the victim, or no, the mother of the deceased, started calling Sauk Village, wanted to know if we had him arrested. There was again a call for mutual aid for Sauk Village to come back out and help. Sauk Village put together under the chief, a whole entire crew, which was Sauk Village Police Department, I think Cook County, Sauk Village Fire Department. There might be that's about it, I don't recall that. And they went out there, and after an extensive search, they found the individual who was dead. Again, that was, I know a lot of people want to say the individual was in Sauk Village. The individual was found in Cook County Forest Reserve. So we should make sure that we clear that up. So that might have been the day that you saw.
Yeah, it was right after. That was that.
A lot of things going on. But,
One more question.
Sure.
Again, I don't know what you can say, if you can say anything, but have you heard any more about these investigations from the FBI? You know what's going on in our town with the treasurer and pension fund and all that stuff?
No. They don't keep me up what's going on. For everyone, I don't know if everyone's aware of, probably everyone is, but our village treasurer was arrested and staggered for some charges, based off the charges that he was arrested on. We put the village treasurer on paid leave, and I know a lot of people are kind of questioning that, but as a municipality, we have to make sure we follow state statute. And we're working with our lawyers to see if there's something we can do. The state statute makes it very clear there's reasons why you can let a treasurer go. Treasurer is considered an officer of your community, right? One thing says if he was convicted of a crime, they would allow the village to vote to have it removed. Another thing it talks about is if he's unable to perform his duties. Now, you can probably say, yes, he's unable to perform his duties, however, it's not by his own will. He's unable to perform his duties because of the village. Okay? Another way that he can be removed is if he volunteers and resigns, however, he has not. The village treasurer has an attorney now, so it makes it impossible for me to talk about it. The village attorney has an attorney now. Can't hear me back. So it makes it impossible for me to talk to him. Okay, so the only way we can have discussions is if attorneys talk with his attorneys. Okay. One of the things we live in the United States, I guess if you look at it, a person's innocent until proven guilty. So as a municipality, we look very hard on the decisions that we're going to make and try to make sure that we don't put the village in litigation. And I know some people come to the village board meetings and say, why don't you fire him? Why don't you get rid of him? Well, you're just asking to put the village in litigation. And we don't want to do that. So, you know, I asked Mohan, he makes like $180 every 2 weeks. Okay, so until the investigation goes through, and or he's convicted, some people may say $180 every 2 weeks is a lot of money. Some people may say it's a small amount of money because if we look at litigation, it costs the village millions. So, yes.
It's, really right now, you have to pay that money back.
No.
No.
I told everyone, think about, where is it? It's all over the news. Is it East Chicago? One of the ones that have an alderman or a trustee or elected officials who's elected, he's in jail. I don't remember everything that's happening. He's in jail. They end up having to go and swear him in while he's in jail. Okay?
Only in America.
Was he the only one running for that trustee?
I don't remember. I just, someone sent it to me on email, and I'm thinking, you know, our problem's, okay. He's in jail, ours isn't yet, so.
I thought he had just won the election.
Yeah, I think that's what
He had just won and was arrested. He didn't plan on being arrested, obviously.
I don't remember all the details, I just kind of skimmed through it. How about anyone else? Yes?
When are they going to start the limit?
We just talked about that. Limb pickup?
Make person?
Yes.
I don't know, they run together.
They gave me
Street sweeping and
Yeah.
Kevin said he's going to be putting on a calendar.
Right.
He usually puts it out around this time of year. We'll make sure that it gets e-blasted and set out for everybody.
Yeah, and we'll have them make another announcement, because I know the question came up at the last board meeting, about limb pickup. It wasn't, I don't think it was part of his report, but it went off and said when it was going to start. May sounds about right. So, May's going to be a very busy month. So, we know that we've got village-wide cleanup happening in May. We know graduations happen in May. So, sometimes people go on vacation in May, but there's still a lot of things happening in the month of May. So, make sure you keep track of your calendars. On what's happening. We'll try to make sure residents know what's going on. We'll make sure we try to get announced in the village board meetings. We've got the e-alert, we've got the Sauk Talk, we've got the village website. And if you've got copies of your agendas yet, agendas are out yesterday for Tuesday next meeting. Right?
For next Tuesday's meeting?
Right.
No. I just got final confirmation this morning from someone that needs to go on the agenda. The agendas will be out tomorrow.
Okay. So we're waiting on one other thing, so we'll get the agenda.
Yeah, there was some last minute things. I didn't put the agendas on it.
Check. But there's some things happening, and on the agenda, we're going to talk about insurance. Is the website on there?
Pardon me?
Discussion on Tuesday website?
No, do you want it to be?
Oh, change name.
Yeah, I was going to actually discuss the website.
Okay.
I've had many residents come in and ask us to pump up the website because the things that are on social media are false. A lot of it is not the truth. And the reason why people believe what's on social media is they have no other recourse. They have no other information. So instead of everybody starting pages, and I'm talking about the elected officials, and starting pages on Facebook, we need to pump up the volume on the website. So in saying that, the website committee is going to make a huge effort to ask people to provide more information to the website committee so we can get it on the website. So it's not on the agenda to discuss yet because we want to wait till we have some more information. And in saying that, in order to really make our website more visually appealing, it's going to cost money. And I know that you're facing a very, very difficult budget. So while you're going through your budget negotiations, I would like you to consider either finding us someone who can help us at little or no cost. That's right. I'm telling you what the people want. So we will do our part by asking for the information, but we're going to maybe have to tap into some resources to get it the way we need it to be. So we're going to ask for your help.
Yeah. We're going to come back to budget. Go ahead, Rose.
I just want to mention, this morning I happened to come across on Facebook something that I didn't realize happened. It's another Facebook page. It says Sauk Village, Our Town. And it seems to me like it's a very positive Facebook page. And there's an article that Gary Holcomb wrote talking about going forward. And he went through, he's very detailed, comparing a household and a village and government and the funding. So if everybody hasn't read it, they should. It is excellent. And I don't know who put out that page, but it's supposed to be very positive, and they're letting people say what they want without editing.
What's the name of it?
It's Sauk Village, Our Town.
I don't promote too many Facebook pages, to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of positive stuff. There's a lot of negative stuff. When I first became mayor, when I first became elected back in 1999, we didn't have all these Facebook negativity and stuff, right? We had one thing that was called Sauk Village Topics. And it was out there on the internet, right? That's where everyone went and they put in their gripes. I think every town had one. There was Chicago Heights Topics, there was Sauk Village Topics, Beecher Topics. And it was a place where everyone went to go complain, right? And all the negative people, they all went there to see what was there. Nowadays we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, we got Twitter, there's so many things out there, I always tell everyone, there's positive stuff out there. Here's an example I saw the other day. It must be true because it's on the internet, right? And it had a quote, a picture of Abraham Lincoln talking about the internet. So, when I was growing up, My grandma used to always say, don't believe anything you read and only half what you see. Right? How many's ever heard that? Right? So anyone can take anything and put it on their perspective and swing it around and make you believe something, right? So, and it's just like with this murder this last week, or not sorry, murder, death. Okay, just like with this death this last week, I saw so many things out there. Not only just on Facebook, but people would send me an email, but even through the news media, right?
Right.
You know, it came across that it happened in Sauk Village.
Right.
And then it came across that it happened in Dalton. And it came across that it happened in the Forest Preserve. You know, there's a lot of things going on. You know, and we live in the society nowadays that everything has to happen right now. Right? How many of us grew up where when there was a war going on, you didn't get your information on the news until 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later? Right? Sometimes, some of you are sitting here, it's probably longer than that. Okay? We remember happening in the Gulf War. We were sitting at home watching it on TV as they were crossing over through the sands, right? We were sitting at home watching on TV when the Twin Towers, when that plane crashed. There's things we won't ever forget. Because it happens right now. The problem is with things happening right now, all the information is not there. So people start to speculate. They put their own spin on things, okay? Where probably when you were growing up, it took weeks to get the information. By the time it hit you, they had all the evidence, all the information, and you were receiving factual information on what happened. So, you know, be very careful, you know, what you read on social media, okay? Again, I don't go out there and sponsor a lot of social media. Sometimes, you know, people ask me, hey, like my page, okay? As mayor, I try to be very careful, okay? And people send me stuff. I'll get emails and say, hey, have you seen this post? Have you seen this? Okay? And I'll be honest with you, some of the stuff I read, I skim through it. Some of the stuff, as soon as I start to see the first sentence, I say, you know what? This is garbage. I'm just going to do that. So, and there was a quote the other day, trying to think of one of the other mayors put it out there, a quote from President Obama, and I was I almost put it out. Okay? And it talked about, you know, he's the president of the United States, and he's getting attacked daily. Right? There's people that like him, people that dislike him. Right? You know, he doesn't respond to every single thing. He can't. He's running our nation.
Right.
Right? Little business again. You know, I saw a quote, and I did put that quote on my Facebook page from Abraham Lincoln. Right? It talked about if he responded to everything, you know, this store would be closed. So think about it. You know, I know a lot of residents are like, what are you going to do about this negativity? In fact, it's part of my article in Sauk. Okay? I get calls, I get emails, people send me stuff, you know, what are you going to do about this? I'm not going to do anything about it. Okay? People have a right to their opinions, whether it be right or wrong. I think that's probably in my quote in the Sauk. Right? The thing is, if you live here in Sauk Village, you know what's happening.
Right.
We can't tell you how many Sauk Village residents have come up and said, thank you for what you've done. The thing is, it's not just me. The departments are out there doing the work. The employees are out there doing the work. And when we talk about police department, it's not just the police officers out there. You've got your public works guys out there. You've got your code enforcement out there. You know, everything from the ladies at the front desk that meet the residents when they come in to pay their water bill. So, you know, have we seen some positive stuff? Yes, we have. Have we seen some negative stuff? Yes, we have. Is there a lot more work to do? Yes, there is. There's a lot more work to do. And you know what? When I ran for mayor, everyone that ran for mayor said, the work that needs to be done cannot be done in one term. Every one of them that sat inside those forums and those debates said it cannot happen in one term. So, you know, and again, we're facing an election year. And you'll see one of the things on my points is, you know, we are in an election year coming up, 2017. You know, we're already seeing politicking. Stop it.
Never stopped.
Stop the politicking. We're here to work for the residents. Okay? That's what we got to do. just continue to think about working for residents. So, and we can probably go on and on, but there's a lot that can be said. There's probably a lot that doesn't need to be said. So I know we were talking about social media. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly. Right? There you go. That was a good movie. Good, bad, ugly. Take it as it is. You know, if you want to take a little bit of it. But what I tell people is, look into it and see if it's actually true. Do your part of investigating. Right? Find out what's true and what's not. All right? Ed, you had your hand up.
Yeah, what about this percentage you use against everyone over there? Can't they do anything about it?
No, you know, he's asking about the profanities being used and the negativity. You know, it's sad. Okay, and I've called down. I've got one trustee that I called down during good board meetings because of his profanity. Okay, as a mayor, all I can do is just call him down. You know, the last time his response was, "I was not his father," and he's right. Because if I was, his mouth would have been more shut with soap, right? When I say to my kids, I don't put up with profanity. There's no reason to. And if you feel that your IQ is not high enough that you have to use profanity, that just shows you your IQ is way down here. Okay? Because, in my opinion, profanity does not need to be part of our communication.
Amen.
All right? So, especially at work, we're supposed to be professional people up there. And when you're up there, you know, even when you're up there using the Lord's name in vain, and you're up there using profanity, you know, it used to be cussing worse than a sailor, but I have an army guy up there cussing, so. But, so I guess, but you know, even, you know, my son was in the Marines. And, you know, Marines, they'll cuss you out as soon as you get off the bus, right? And they're cussing you up and down, telling you get on that yellow line. But you know, he realizes, you know, I don't have to use profanity like they train me in the Marines to be able to show or to be able to put across something. So, again, we talked about it earlier. People have a right to their opinion. You know, as a mayor, when it comes to board meetings, you know, I'll continue calling people down because of profanity, because you know, we have families that attend these board meetings. We have men, we have women, and sometimes we even have children. And this is not a place that we should have him. Does he have the right? Do people have the right to speak using profanity? They do. But there's a place. I guess you want to say there's a place. In my opinion, there's no place for it. But people have a place, and part of the board meeting is not part of it. Yes.
Have you checked to see? Well, I know the village may not have an ordinance. And I don't think we should pass any more ordinances about that. But are you sure there's not a state statute? Because profanity, if you cuss at somebody on the street, that's considered assault, and you can be arrested for that.
You know, there's things that as a board they can do. You know, the board can call for censorship, which we never have. And then,
I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying I can't believe that there's already not something written somewhere to deal with this. Because otherwise, there'd be idiots all over doing it, not just in Sauk Village. And I know there are, but you don't.
Other communities are, you know, a lot of people see what's happening in Sauk Village. There's problems happening in other communities.
Right.
Okay, I go to mayors and managers and meet with mayors. Okay, University Park. They're having problems. I don't know where they're at now. Last time I talked to Vivian, you know, she would tell me some of her problems. I talked to the mayor over in Riverdale. You know, she came up and something. I'm out of my zone here. When I'm there, I know where they're from. When they're not standing from me, I can't remember. But she came up and talked about problems she was having in her community, and knew that we had some of those same problems in our community. Asking me, what do we do? And again, as mayors, we talk to each other. You know, what are you doing about this situation? What do you do about this situation? You know, one reason why we're meeting here, right? I could easily meet in there. Okay? But there's a couple things going on. First of all, I talked to the mayors, and they said, you know what? That there, if you want to use a religious term, is a sanctuary. Right? That's where you have your meetings. There may be some special events going on. Okay? But that there should be only for certain things. I talked to other mayors that have these meet the mayors, they call them coffees, they talk about things like that. They have them right where we're having it right here. When their trustees want to talk to residents, they do it right in the lobby. They don't use that, okay? Now, there's a thing called what? Self-governing,
Right.
where they don't listen to the residents, where they say, I can do whatever I want. What are you going to do to me? Self-governing. They feel they answer to nobody. That's who you're going to see using that room. People that feel they don't answer to anyone. People that feel that they can do whatever they want. That's why I'm out here. Because you know, residents came and said the same thing that I'm hearing from other mayors. That should not be used for politicking. Because sometimes what I say, people can take as politicking, right? I try not to, because I try to make sure I tell the residents what's happening. Okay? But some people may come up and say, because you're using this to tell people what's going on, you're using it to further your ambitions to continue being mayor, right? I look at it as I'm here to try to make sure I tell the residents what's happening to keep them informed. Because that was one of the things I had to complain about when I first left. People said, we're not informed, there's no transparency, we don't know what's happening. Right? So, you know, think about that. Self-governing. We saw that in our last election, under the last administration, didn't we? How many times did we hear in their last administration someone say, what are you going to do to me? I'm going to do whatever I want, and there's nothing you can do to me. Self-governing. One thing that we're looking into. And I'm going to be very honest with you. There's a policy for the use of the community center. Okay? That policy is not being followed. I brought it up to the trustee that's in charge of it. I continue to let the trustee know that there's a policy that must be followed. And again, self-governing. Going to do whatever he wants to do, and there's nothing he thinks I can do to him. We're keeping track of it. Every time that community center is being used, and there's not on the books, and there's no rental fee, we're keeping track of it. We will come back and tell the residents how much money you've lost because I have a trustee that thinks he's self-governing. So, because let me tell you, I rented the community center for my mother's 70th birthday. I could have very easily said, I'm the mayor. I want to use this, no one else is using it. I'm going to put on a birthday party. Right? I could have. And what would anyone done to me? I could have got the keys to that community center. I could have had it. Police department's not going to come arrest me. Although there's some down there that may want to. Again, think about what's happening. Right? Remember that word, self-governing. The next time you hear someone say, what are you going to do to me?
Supposed to govern themselves.
That's right. So, yes.
The fact that that room is used for our board meetings, committee meetings, and then another group has a trash and bash, basically what it is. And I've been to some of them where I just don't think that that should be allowed. I don't care who likes it or doesn't like it or whatever. But when they come in there and they start announcing that we'll have no name card, we'll have none of this, we'll have none of this, and then to allow it to continue, police your own people. You know, when you come in that room and you start trashing and bashing and name calling and nothing is stopped from the top, shame.
I've been to a few. I thought that instead of being called town hall meetings, they should have been called Mayor Hank's Roast. And then I'm told I can't even respond. You don't know how hard it is to sit there and people come up and say stuff when I've got the information sitting right in front of me, I can tell you the truth, but being told I can't respond.
Why?
You know?
Why? Why, David?
Because the individual feels it's his town hall meeting and
Oh, it's his town hall meeting.
Right.
Oh.
so.
There's also If there's 3 trustees and the mayor in the room, it's open to that knowledge.
There's two
Two trustees and the mayor.
Because the Open Meetings Act just
It's
changed.
the majority, yeah, three elected officials in a voting capacity. So often there are 3 in the audience, which means 1 trustee can run the meeting, but the other 2 can't comment. They can be in the room, but they can't be in a verbal capacity.
And it gets to the point where you remember, if we're going to talk about village business, you know, under the disguise of a town hall meeting, I can't get up there and explain what's going on, you know, in that type of format.
I quit social media. I do not have it anymore. It's ridiculous. Just like what Mr. Wizawati put on. He was trying to make Sauk Village Police look like they didn't look for that 19-year-old black boy. And like we're prejudiced. And that irritated the heck out of me. And then I find out when I come here, he was in the Forest Preserve. He wasn't at 221st in Brookwood.
And right next to that,
You see, that's what the mayor was saying.
Jeff Warren's house.
That don't belong. A lot of people think Sauk Trail belongs to Sauk Village. It does not. That reserve over there don't belong to us, but people get to reading what he says like he knows everything. Have they ever went to him and say to him, where do you get your information from?
Well, I know, my daughter showed this to me. That's the only reason I knew about it, because I don't go on Facebook or anything anymore.
But this is what I think. This is just me. The guy
Just you.
that, the guy that was with him, the guy that was with him, that knew he ran off. See, here's my thing. The one that should be charged is the boy that ran away. Now, if he had told the police we went that way, maybe that boy would be alive today. But rather than to go to work and clamp up this stuff, to me, you don't want to kill him. To me, that's just me. That's just right. Why wouldn't you tell the police and say, well, you got me, and he ran up there in the woods. I don't know what's out there, but that's where he was. Maybe they could have went out there and saved that young man. That's right.
So it's not just Frank Williams. Chuck,
you talk about this Parks and Recs, and these guys are blatantly not using, or not collecting the money for villages they're supposed to. Is there any recourse in getting that money? I mean, I don't know. I mean, can you, the guy that gets paid for having the meetings, can it come out of his?
you know, we're looking at everything because the village does have a policy, and the policy is not followed. The board has actions that can be taken. It's going to be up to the board. So what we're going to do is we're going to provide all the information. We'll provide how much the village has lost in revenues. And again, showing that it's a blatant violation of the village policy. And again, remember, as elected officials, you know, it's our responsibility. We take an oath, say that we'll follow the ordinances and the policies of the village. Getting all the information. Again, my opinion, I got plenty of information. Just like the fact that we brought in to the trustees about standing committees. The village board voted on, there's only one trustee voted against the ordinance for standing committees. So the trustees knew exactly what they were voting on. So if anyone tells you they didn't, that means they voted on something that they had no idea what they were voting on. So either they did or they didn't. The thing is, everyone received copies of it. There was multiple discussions during village board meetings, and it was voted on by one trustee voting against it. Okay? There's standing committees. It makes it very clear about subcommittees. Subcommittees do not get paid for it. It makes it clear inside the ordinance. Subcommittees are not paid for it. It talks about subcommittees are appointed by the chair. It talks about how chairs for those subcommittees are appointed by the chair. Again, when you look at the way it was set up, and again, I told the trustees, and I met with the trustees the other night, it's not reinvent the wheel.
Right.
These are ordinances that are out there in other communities that are following. So we have a standing committee which is made up of 2 trustees, chair and co-chair. That's what they get paid for. If the 2 trustees do not get paid, if one of the trustees does not show up, the chair does not get paid for that meeting. Okay? And if you remember right, if you go back to when all these meetings are videotaped, one of the questions that came up was, how do you know for sure that the trustee had the meeting? And remember, if you remember, my quote was, it's we take them at their word. It's about honor.
Right.
Right? They have to sign a sheet that said they had that standing committee. they have to turn that sheet in with their signature. Now, if they did not have those standing committee meetings, and they turned those sheets in, it's falsification of documents, and it's theft, as far as I'm concerned. So, we have all the documentation. Now, and I've made it very clear, I've said in 3 board meetings, trustees, if you got paid for standing committees and you did not have a meeting, I told it, I said, it's falsification of documents, and it's theft. I've given them a chance to turn the money back in. Right?
City come in.
So, no. But here's what we've done as a mayor. We've taken in their signing sheets that they have to turn in, and we've added something. We've added 2 things. Now, the chair has to sign, the co-chair has to sign on the date that they had their meeting. They also have to staple with that sign-in sheet a copy of the agenda. So that kind of helps clear things up. 2 signatures and a copy of their agenda. Now remember, the standing committee is following the Open Meetings Act. So there has to be agendas posted 48 hours in advance. They have to have the open meetings. You know, one of the questions I had, and it's crazy because every trustee is taking the Open Meetings Act. One of the trustees asked, do we have to have our meetings here at the Village Hall? And I told him, I said, the answer is probably no. However, it has to be at a public building. And it has to be something that's accessible to the residents. So you can't have it at the local restaurant. You can't have your meeting in your house, right? So, you know, and then by the end of the meeting, the trustee realized, okay, I guess I have to have it here. Okay? You have to have an agenda. You have to keep minutes. They have to be accessible because everything's for you. So, yes.
These guys think they just get paid for their good looks or something? I mean, they don't have to do anything?
Well, I think, going back to the Open Meetings Act, we've had quite a few violations and that have been reported to the Attorney General's office because of the way that it's not being handled properly. But going back to the location, I think as long as the location is accessible, open to the public, it could be a home or a restaurant, because our board actually, well, as a member of the board,
It can't be.
you actually held one downtown one time on a board with Peckham, because it was posted properly that you all would be meeting downtown to have discussed business.
Yeah, they just had one that went through the courts, because there's a town in southern Illinois that they were having their meetings in an individual's home. And the courts in the PAC shot it down and said that a home is not a public building.
Okay.
So it has to be a public building. So when we say public building, village hall, police department, fire department, library.
So it's changed since.
It has changed,
Okay.
and in fact, we just learned about it during IML. That was one of the things that came up.
Good to know.
So, and you can't be inside a store. The PAC ruled on, there was trustees. These guys, everyone thinks of everything, right? Everyone's looking for a way around the rules. The PAC had come before them that trustees were meeting inside a store. What they would do is, there'd be one in this aisle, one in this aisle, one in this aisle. And they would talk amongst themselves in between 3 aisles. And say, hey, this is on the agenda, how you voting? Well, they were very smart, someone videotaped them. And it went to the PAC, and the PAC said, you know what? We broke the Open Meetings Act. Now, and again, over the years, things have changed, right? The use of the internet. You know, think about it. The use of Facebook is now a PAC issue. Okay? If a trustee puts something on Facebook, and another trustee responds, that's a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Okay? The fact of the use of tablets, they found out that there's municipalities, and good thing it's not Sauk Village, municipalities were using their tablets during the meetings and sending messages to other trustees sitting up there so people wouldn't know what was going on. And they were making decisions, not in the public, except for on their tablets. So, you know, everything we find out nowadays, because of the electronic age, has had to change the way we call it the PAC, but the way that things are looked at when it comes to the Open Meetings Act. And we see the Open Meetings Act as a living document. It's constantly changing because our society is changing, what we use is changes. Okay? It's like our cell phones, right? They made it where cell phones are foilable, because trustees and aldermen were using their cell phones to send texts during board meetings. Right? And they think, you know, so a lot of these things have come across because things have been challenged. And so, you know, if people think they can hide because of their personal phones and they're sending texts, personal phones are even covered under the Opens Meeting Act. You know, because everyone thought something, you know, oh, I won't use my village phone, I'll use my personal phone. They get challenged.
Are the videos that are taken, are those available?
Those, no, because those are personal individuals. Okay? Now, I'm sure they could probably be subpoenaed. Probably could. If it's something that would record, but it's not FOIA because unless the village itself videotaped.
The audio tapes from the village are audio.
Right. The audio tapes. Yes.
On getting money or receiving money from the public, isn't the chairman of that particular committee supposed to keep track of it? Or say something at the committee meeting that we make so much money? Is that supposed to be?
Yes, there's a couple things here that you're talking about. Receiving money from the public, we know that we do, committees might have fundraisers, right? So they might stand on the corners, you know, they might have a fundraiser at Culver's, they might have a fundraiser down at Dunkin' Donuts, you know, things like that. So that's part of taking in money from public. Yes, you're supposed to go off and say, okay, we did this fundraiser, with this event, we raised this much money, they should be providing all the information. Now, when it comes into renting facilities, right? Committee members, department heads, committee members or trustees should not be taking any money at all. That should be coming directly to the front desk. That comes and they receive receipts, it's documented, everything goes right through there.
What happens if they say that we don't have any money, we haven't gotten any money, we haven't paid any money? I mean, what proof do we have to say that they didn't say that?
So you're saying about what happens if a committee member or a chair says, we don't have any money, we're not taking any money, I can say that they're not doing their job. Okay? Sauk Village has always ran off of volunteers. Sauk Village has always ran off of fundraisers, getting out there and getting people to donate. That's how things happen. Okay? There's not a wealth of money coming in here. We're going to talk about budget here a little bit, unless I run out of time. But that's how we run. We run things. Your volunteers come out and help on the Parks and Recs to have events, right? They sell stuff throughout the year to make sure they can continue having activities and things at the community center. Okay? The senior center, we're having an event today, right, for the senior chili cook-off. Okay? Again, a way for them to raise some money, but also it's a small amount of money. Think about $3 for a whole chili.
Actually, it's not a fundraiser, it's a social activity.
There you go.
And usually, we're trying to break even and sometimes we don't.
Right.
And the amount of money that we have profited from a chili cook-off might be almost $30.
You think
But
about
it's a fun event, it's not a fundraiser.
And what goes into that? Think about all the volunteers that were here last night setting up for the senior center. They weren't getting paid to set up chairs and tables. They were getting paid to put tablecloths on. Think about the stuff that they buy. You know, when you get that bowl of chili, someone had to buy those bowls. When you get that little packet of cookies, and again, it might be minor, but think about all the cookies that had to be bought, and someone had to sit there and put those cookies inside baggies, volunteering. Think about everyone who is making chili for today's event. They didn't get paid. They're not getting paid so that you can come and have a whole chili. Right? And there's no way you can sue them if you go home and have to have the business. It's part of Sauk Village. It's what we do. Right? It's so we can come in here and have some fun and talk to our neighbors and bring people out of their houses and out of the community, come to a location and have some fun. We got the Morgans. Thank you. I want to say Morgan for some reason. We got the Morgans coming in, and they're playing their equipment. They got their kids coming in and singing. We got the line dancing.
Yeah, one comes from Wisconsin. One comes every year from Wisconsin.
To drive here, to be able to play music for residents. Yeah, we could go on and on. Think about this. Your fire department are out there holding their boots trying to raise money for fire camps, for help kids who have been burnt. That's what we're about. That's what's up there. We're a small community. But our small community is able to function and continue going because people are willing to volunteer. People are willing to give. That's why Sauk is just so great. So, you're going back to your questions about, I had to kind of took a rabbit trail here. No pun being intended for Easter. Oh, yeah. Think about the pancake breakfast coming up, and that's the 20th pancake breakfast at the fire department. $5 for pancakes, and again, sausage, and usually eggs, and juice, and coffee. You can't even make that at home for that cost. And you got someone making it for you. Again, the revenues that come in and help our fire department. So, and I'm sure they don't make very much money because they have to go out and buy everything. They're buying the paper plates, the forks, they're buying the salt, the pepper, they're buying the pancake mix, they're buying the eggs, they're buying the sausage, the syrup. And syrup broke on just buying syrup. I had to buy a syrup for my kids. I had to go take a small loan out. So, I tell you, I'm so glad milk came down. I tell you, buying milk, eggs came down, so I'm so glad because my kids go through milk like it's water. So, yes.
What do you think would happen if the people, instead of putting all the subversive imagination to work for events in the village and for policies in the village, what do you think would happen if all that energy that is going negatively would start working positively?
Would you see it totally a turnaround? Yeah, here's a problem. They would lose viewers. Okay? That's the first. They would lose followers. Because why? Because we live in a society, everyone wants to see everything negative. They want to believe everything negative. Why is it when you turn the news on at 10 o'clock at night, you don't hear too much positive things? You know, breaking story. Someone just fell off top of the building. You know, breaking story. 10-car power on Dan Ryan. You know, breaking story. Someone found dead in the community. Where's the breaking stories of? We have a chili cook. Where's the breaking stories that they just did the polar bear plunge? Why isn't that a breaking story? There's people out there doing good and trying to raise funds for something to help other people. Why is that not the breaking story? Because people don't want to see the positive. They want to dwell and they want to see the negative. Right. So first of all, they lose followers. Okay. Secondly, make sure I say this right. People start having a more positive attitude. Okay. And that's what we need. People would start coming out. You know, when I first ran for a trustee, back in 1999, it came so long ago. One of the things we talked about, we lived in a community where you live next door to someone and you have no idea who they are. We live with blinders on. Right? You walk out to your car like this, hoping that they don't talk to you. Okay? You get in your car and you drive away, not looking at any of your neighbors' houses. Right? You come home, you hope that you have a garage so you don't have to talk to anyone, but if you don't, you get out of your car and you kind of walk in like this, and, right? You have no idea who your neighbors are. You don't want to talk to your neighbors. When I was growing up here in Sauk Village, we knew our neighbors. Our neighbors would come over and say, hey, I'm going out of town for the week. Do me a favor, keep an eye on my house. Hey, also, while you're at it, pick up my paper and pick up my mail in the mailbox. That way anyone knows I'm not home. Oh, and by the way, here's the key to my back door. Do me a favor, go inside, real quick, and at night turn the light, turn this light on, turn this light on, and in the morning go back over and turn these lights off. That's what it was when I was growing up.
You're not too busy cutting the grass.
And you know how I knew all this? Because when they left, my dad said, here's the key, make sure it gets done every night. Every night, every morning, make sure it gets done. So, we don't live like that anymore.
You know, on a Saturday, if you think about this, on a Saturday, this time of day, you couldn't hear your ears for those kids playing baseball behind. Oh my God, there was so much fun over there with the kids playing baseball. And you know what? Also, I know a lot of people don't remember this, but we have a baseball team of girls that used to travel. And those girls would stand on that corner out there and raise money to go from state to state to play softball. They can do the same thing again. Just like you said, we try to turn this negative into positive. It's going to take a lot of work, but we can do it.
Well, here's the other thing that's different. And that goes back to probably the 70s and 80s.
Right.
Okay, I remember that. Okay. Here's the difference is you have families involved.
Right?
It takes involvement in your community. It takes families. Okay?
So much
It takes.
you don't have that.
You don't. When we were growing up, we lived on one-income families, right? How many sitting around here remember one-income families? Because, and again, if you say this nowadays, you become sexist, right? But the father would go off to work, and the mother would be home raising the kids, and the mother would go off, and she would help participate in all these events.
Right.
And the father, when he wasn't working, he was also involved with the kids out there. Today we live in a dual working society. We live in a society because we have to have stuff. We live in a society we have to have the best of everything. I look at my kids, and I love my kids. Okay? I look at my daughter to get married, right? And think about, they have to have the best washing machines, the best dryer. They have to have the newest refrigerator out. They have to have the best living room thing, and I'm happy for them. Okay, don't take this wrong. Okay, but I remember my wife and I when we first got married. You know, we had just barely enough money going on our honeymoon. Okay, came back and we sold our belongings. Okay, so that we could go to the second-hand store and buy something. You know, we went off and people gave us, when we first got married, a refrigerator. You know, we had a broken down old washing machine. That's why my wife's so good at working on washing machines. It's because she used to tear it apart probably every other week just to go off to get it working again. You know, our kids nowadays have no idea what it means to live a hard life. And you know what? I enjoy the hard life. Because it made me what I am today. That's what it's about.
You don't have to be dating. They want a big wedding. That's the start.
And you know what? We're happy. And yet I'm happy for the kids today. But they're missing something. They're missing what we grew up and how we had to grow up. They're missing the life of hard knocks. And it's sad. And I say it in a way because, you know what? That's what makes you. I remember having a car that we had to work on constantly. Chuck used to help me all the time. He's got scars on his body because of working on my car. You know, that's back when you could work on a car. But you know what do we see nowadays? Kids have to go off and buy a brand new car. And the ones they can't even work on. We live in a disposable world. You know, my grandma probably had the same iron when she died that she had when she first got married. You know? She probably had the same coffee pot. Nowadays we buy an iron and we expect to go buy another one 18 months later.
A what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have cell phones.
Remember women raising kids would do their own hair, do their own nails, so they could buy clothes for their kids or toys for their kids.
How many guys in here you said wear 2 pairs of pants because you had to come to first hose?
What about patches?
Patch, oh yeah. Oh, take kids nowadays wouldn't think about wearing a patch. You know, unless there's something that came out in the fashion So again, I know I'm running off a rabbit, okay? But again, that's why I like these, because we can sit and talk, we can go back and forth. And again, I like the going back and forth and talking to everyone. But you know, we live in a society, we'll talk a little bit about it, that they do not get involved. Okay? We live in a society that nowadays, that either the kids walk to the community center, or sometimes they might be fortunate that someone will come and drop them off, kick them off, and then say, find your own way home. I can't tell you how many kids that come over on our block, and we used to have one little boy in the neighborhood, okay? His mom, I can't remember if it was his mother or his grandmother he was living with, would kick him out of the house as soon as it became light, right? And tell him, don't come home until it's dark. I can't tell you how many times you come to our house and he'd play all day. And you heard, my wife would feed him. You know? And, it's sad because, we call the kids in for supper, and he would stand at the back door and just look inside the window. And I look at my wife, and again, I'm a family guy, right? I want to sit down with the family and eat. Every once in a while, we'll invite people in, and they'll eat with us. Right? So after a while, I tell my wife, go make him a plate. So it's sad what you see nowadays. Because we didn't see it when we were growing up.
Well, even if you go out to dinner today, everybody's on their phone.
Yeah.
Yep. In fact, my wife has made a
They're not
rule.
talking to each other, even at the table.
And my wife, she's sitting back there. She's made a rule. Turn your cell phones off on that table. Because I get to the point too. My phone will vibrate, and I got two phones. I got one for work, I got my personal phone. Okay? And all of a sudden I'll start vibrating, and I'll go for a phone, and all of a sudden I'll get that look.
That's exactly it, that's it.
Yeah, that's right. Or you'll see one of the kids at the end of the table, and be like this. And my wife will look at me. And all of a sudden, I get, what is it about us husbands? We get that look, we know what it is. Now, she doesn't have to say the phone, she doesn't say anything, she just look at me. And I'll look up and go, put the phone away. Right?
At my house, when my kids were Wednesday night was family night. I didn't care how it went, what it did. We had to sit at the table to ask the kids. Let them tell us what went on in their life today. Okay, fine. Sometimes they come on with this, happened, that. Then we'll go and look at that type of thing. That's what people need to do. If you sit down sometimes, like when I talk to my grandchild, honest to God, sometimes we talk to the old man. He gets to talking, but I still listen to what he said. Now, I'm not going to always do what he said, because he's a granddad, I suppose. I want you to go to Arby's and get me a hamburger, but I want you to go to McDonald's and get me a chicken. No, you're not going to do that. So all the time, I said, look at him. He wants to tell me where he wants to go. But when I was coming up, if I would have said that, I wouldn't have went to either one of those. But we're scared to do that to kids today.
I tell my kids all the time, glad your grandfather's not alive anymore.
Right?
Because I know exactly what you're talking about. When my dad said, I'm going somewhere, we didn't ask him, where are you going? We didn't decide if we wanted to go with him. We wanted to go with him. And he said, I'm leaving in 5 minutes. Now with my dad, it was 3 minutes. And you knew that you were in that car when he got in that car, or he was gone. And as you walked out of the house, if you weren't in that car, you'd see him driving away. Right? And I remember times being young, I'd be out there in the middle of the street going, Dad! Right? And my dad, being lovely as he was, he would wave and keep on driving. So, kids nowadays expect, and again, I'm not as rough as my dad. My dad was old school, and people say I'm new school, I guess, but I do have a little bit of roughness in me, but, my kids will call me, and there's times I'll turn around. And as I'm turning around, I'm thinking, my dad would never give a straight wrong. I'll be all the way down here to Fairway and get a call and say, Dad, can you please come back and get me? And I say, okay, I'll turn off Fairway and come back. And one time I'm saying, it's stupid.
we get back to baseball, like I was saying, that we had over 375 boys and girls playing that baseball, plus the travel, plus the all-stars of this time. So I mean, we had a big.
I remember the parades going from Consumers parking lot all the way down Jeffrey to the park. And I remember how long that parade was.
All the kids got it was each team.
And I remember starting the games. The parade would go all the way down Jeffrey, and when you get there, there'd be a ceremony in the middle of the field, and then the games would start. How many remembers that? How many remember
Oh, yeah.
that?
Right down
Yeah.
And it all took volunteers.
Yeah, it was all volunteers.
Volunteer coaches, sponsors.
Everything.
And the fire truck used to come
The fire truck.
and blow that horn.
Oh, yeah.
You-
Oh,
The little babies would wake up crying at 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's right. All right, what else? I know it's been mentioned a couple times, the budget. I said something at the board meeting here, and it's probably one of the worst budgets I'm facing in all the years I've been an elected official. Okay? There is so much uncertainty down in Springfield. And when we look at our budget, it's based off what's happening in Springfield, right? It's based off of what revenues are we going to receive. Let's take a step back on a budget. On a municipal budget, we may have a budget, and I'm going to throw a number out there, okay? We may have a budget for $12 million, okay? But that doesn't mean that Sauk Village has $12 million sitting in a bank account. When we say we have a $12 million budget, that means we project we're going to bring in $12 million. And as we receive that money, the budget line items will be able to purchase stuff. We'll be able to do things. Now, our biggest line item is payroll, right? Payroll and benefits. Okay? So we start off usually the year with this much money and say, okay, we're going to pass a budget for this much money based off what we project is going to come in. Now, right now it's very difficult to project because the state of Illinois hasn't passed a budget yet. The state of Illinois is now, they're saying probably won't pass one till January, and I don't even know if that date's going to stick. Because when they didn't pass one last year, they said, well, we'll have one by November or by October, and then we'll have one by November, and then we'll have one by January, and then we'll have one by April, and now they're already saying April's out the window, it's probably not going to be now until next year. Okay? Now, can things change over in Springfield overnight? Yes, they can. People can come to the table and they can get a budget passed. However, when we're trying to project a budget, it's very difficult. Last year, we presented what we call a worst-case scenario budget. That budget was based off of what we were hearing from the governor's office and what we were hearing from our state representatives. Okay. We did fairly well with that worst-case scenario budget last year. Okay. Did we get to do everything we wanted to? No, we didn't. Okay. But because we looked at the worst-case scenario, we came out pretty fair. Now, you don't have to look around too far where other communities pass a budget based off what they projected they received every other year. They didn't listen to the ramblings down in Springfield. They didn't listen to their state representatives. They didn't listen to the governor. They went ahead and passed a budget that was way out of line. Right? That's why you're starting to hear communities say we're still going to have layoffs this next year. University Park. What was it, 30, 40 employees?
Half the police.
7 police officers. Some of them were part-timers, some of them were full-timers. Okay? You're seeing stuff like that happening in other communities. I'm talking to other mayors. I don't think University Park should be the last one. There's other communities that went way over budget last year, and they're going to have to make some cuts in this year's budget also. Okay? Because we were proactive and we planned ahead, we're looking fairly well. Again, this is what we call worst-case scenario. Department heads are not going to get everything they want. Capital projects, there's probably going to be very few, if any. Okay? We're going to be cutting. We're going to be making the department heads go off and make additional cuts inside their budget. And at the same time, we're looking at where do we need additional headcount. We You talk about public works, and all the work that's happening over there. I've already given the approval to start looking at 4 additional part-timers inside public works. Because we've got way too much work that needs to be done. So we're looking at that. We're looking at what's going to cost. So while we say we're having a worst-case scenario budget, there's still maybe people hired. And what you do is when you look at a budget, you look at where do you need to have those people, and how is it going to best benefit the community. And sometimes people don't understand where you're laying off here, but you're hiring here, right? That's how you look at a budget. I work for the corporate world. I worked for the corporate world for years, right? How many times do you hear the corporate world say we're laying off here, here, and here, or we're hiring this many people here? How about Walmart? Here's an example. Walmart's closing, 260-some stores this next year, but they're estimating that they're going to open 300. Okay? So it's all about looking at your resources, how much is coming in, where it's going to go. And where can those things best benefit the residents of Sauk Village and Sauk Village as a whole. So, budget's going to be tough. It's going to be tight. Okay? I know Debbie's asking for money for a website. Okay? Here's what I'm doing. And everyone's going to do the same thing. If you want to go out there and get it. John Hoskin was a trustee last, you just voted out, a year and a half ago. Okay? John Hoskin ran the Parks and Recs. John Hoskin was out there constantly getting donations and having fundraisers so that he could put on, not him, so the Parks and Recs Committee could put on events for the residents of Sauk Village. Brought in probably more events than any Parks and Recs Committee member before by going out and getting donations, standing on the corners. Well, he brought in over $4,000 in for fireworks. For fireworks. Because the village didn't have money to buy fireworks. It takes work to be able to get things done. So when department heads ask, when trustees ask for stuff, I'm going to tell them the same thing. If you want it, if it's important, go out there and get the money. Find sponsorships. Find donations. If you have to, be like a former trustee and stand on the corner and try to raise money. Because when everyone else said, we don't have the money, we're not going to have 4th of July celebrations, and we're not going to have 4th of July fireworks, he stepped up to the plate and said, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Because you know what? That's part of being an American. Having fireworks. And having events for the public. They went out and did it. So, we're working on a budget, where we're at currently. I received the department head's wish list. I dropped my jaw when I saw their wish list, but I got their wish list. Now I'm putting my red pen to it. I'll end up going back to the finance director. I'll be going back to the department heads and saying, probably I'll go back to the department heads and say, here's what we're cutting. Now, you take another 10% off. And I'll have them do that. Then I'll end up having the department heads come in and talk to me, and we'll review it and have them say, well, you know, you cut this, but I need this. They're going to explain to me why they need it and what else are they going to cut so they can have what they need. It's kind of like my kids. I tell them, you may want a pair of Air Jordans, but you need a pair of Walmart specials that cost $5. Right? They both do the same thing. They keep your feet from hurting, and you can make it from point A to point B. All right? So that's where we're at on the budget. After I get done meeting with the department heads, after we finish making the cuts, it will go to the new finance committee, which is ran by Trustee Williams and co-chairs Trustee Myers. They will review, and I'm sure they're going to call department heads in. The department heads are going to come talk to them and plead and cry and do everything that they can. And then when they come back to me and say, well, you know what, this department head needs this, because I'm sure they're going to, I'm going to say, what are you going to cut? So we'll end up going back and forth, I'm sure, with the finance committee. And then once we get the finance committee on board, and the department heads, once we drag them on board, then we'll go to the village board as a whole, and we'll start having budget hearings. And the goal is hopefully by the middle of next month, we'll be in the budget hearings. So we've got a lot to do. Yes?
Do you have a number, since you've been mayor, as far as I know, budget is always a hairy thing, but how much have you lowered our deficit since you've been mayor? Do you know that number? Or?
I should have that number. I can tell you we've lowered it every year. I don't have it in front of me. This last year, the auditors reported that we lowered last year's budget by over $2 million.
Budget or deficit?
Deficit, I'm sorry.
So that's just in 1 year?
That was in 1 year. So that's what we lowered it last year. We looked at, every year it changes. I mean, last year was probably higher than most years. And when you look at our overall deficit, okay, there's a couple different numbers you can look at. You've got overall deficit is a lot higher than what your current deficit is, what you currently hold. We're looking at the overall deficit number. And we should have brought, I had it sit right on my desk, the audit, but I won't get the numbers out, but I know the auditors reported over $2 million last year that we reduced the deficit just last year. Yes?
Even though you have that budget prepared, that doesn't mean the money is there. So if you don't have the money, the department doesn't get that money.
Correct. You're right.
Because for some reason, some of them feel it's in the budget, we should get it.
No, it may be in the budget, but again, it's the revenues come in. You remember your budget is what we project is going to come in. So if we project we're going to receive $12 million in revenues, and the state only pays us $10 million, that means we're short by $2 million. That means that's $2 million worth of stuff we're not going to spend. Again, I'm just throwing numbers out. So. Yes?
Is there a way, this is a different subject, is there a way, once we have our board meetings, you know, like the residents have 3 minutes, is there any way of, the trustees have a certain amount, so that they're not repeating meetings, that they're 20 minutes listening to someone repeating the same thing over and over like we're stupid, we don't understand what they're saying, either that or there's Alzheimer's. They can't remember.
If we just pass something, you know, there's 2 different types of meetings Sauk Village has. We have a committee meeting, we have a meeting of the whole, okay? The committee meeting is where we have our debate, that's where we have our brainstorming, that's where we go over what we're going to vote at the next meeting. So we have the first and third is committee meetings. On the second Tuesday, and the fourth Tuesday is where we have our village board meeting, okay? The village board just passed and approved an ordinance, and this deals with when there's a motion on the floor, okay? So there's a couple of things that happens at a board meeting, and one of them is when there's motions. The motion, the ordinance, I got the right one here. I did grab that. The ordinance, and here's what it says. It says limitation on debate, okay? Because what ends up happening is when there's a motion on the floor, there's a second place, then there's questions or comments. That's what's considered as debate. Okay? We know that one of the complaints is what you just talked about. Trustees take that time and just go over and over and over and over, right? So here's what it says. Limitation is, on debate, no member without consent of the board or presiding officer shall speak more than once upon the same subject, until every member desiring to speak shall have spoken. No member shall speak more than twice upon the same subject, and no member shall speak longer than 5 minutes at any time except by consent of the board. Conduct of members during debate. While a member is speaking, no member shall hold any private disclosures. So the village board is going to approving this. What do I have? I don't have the signed copy. Again, this came off of complaints from residents saying these meetings are going forever, and these trustees are talking over and over and over. We went to IML, which is the Illinois Municipal League Conference. We took training at that conference, and this is not only a problem in Sauk Village, it's a problem statewide. Because of the problem statewide, there is a state statute that allows us to do this. we brought this information back to the board. In fact, at one of the Meet the Mayors, I had a presentation that showed some of the questions and comments and some of the things that we learned at IML. By being able to get this information through state statute, through all this training, we were able to get this ordinance on the books. So this was just passed 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. Like, probably less than a month ago, that was just passed. So, now, it's my responsibility to try to keep up with it. And one thing we're looking into, which we don't have the money for, I'd love to have, is like when you go to Springfield, or even when you go to federal court, it's the same thing, you get a certain amount of time. There is a clock on the wall that once they start speaking, it's a digital clock that goes off, okay? We're looking to see if there's something we can find, because number one, we think it'd be good for the trustees to have a visual. You know, you've been talking this long, okay? We also think it'd be good for the residents, because a lot of times, when a resident gets up speaking for 3 minutes, all of a sudden they're saying, you're hearing for 20 seconds, and time's up. Well, if we had a digital clock on the wall, when they got spoke, that 3 minutes would start, and that would be a visual that they could see, they know that time's up. So, we're looking into the cost. What I want is a little more expensive, but again, it's not what I want, but what we need, so we're looking at be able to show that there's a need. It's like my kids, when they try to tell me there's a need for those tennis shoes.
They run faster.
Yeah. Anyone else?
We need a louder buzzer.
A louder buzzer?
Yeah.
Oh, buzzer.
Buzzer.
I thought you were talking about the village clerk.
I've been told I've been rude, but I try to be rude.
I thought he said we need a louder buzzer. Oh, the Coach Clark will tell them that their time's up.
Somebody can hear that, but they don't. They
Yeah,
can
so
stop.
you know it's up, you stop.
Maybe you could hook up an electric fence to the chairs.
That's good.
As long as it's 6 chairs and not mine.
But you get the biggest blast.
Yeah. I would have a glass watching them jump. Yes.
I understand sometimes you just want to make a point or get a point across. But a lot of times it seems like they're fuzzy on the details of something that was in the agenda. And they have the information ahead of time. I don't understand why they don't iron that out or ask you behind the closed doors before they come in and hash it all out. And they're fuzzy on the details. It's a waste of my time. I don't want to come there and listen to you like a child going to school and saying, oh wait, I didn't do my homework, can I hurry up, can you show me how to do this now? That is so wasteful. It's very irritating.
And this is what we tried to push across to the trustees. You talk about school. When you go to school, it's your responsibility to do your homework, right? It's their responsibility, their homework is to get their packets, get the information, and understand it before they come to the village board. If they're coming to a village board meeting not knowing what something is on the accounts payable, shame on them. It's their responsibility before you go. They got a finance director, they've got a question. You know, what is this for? Now, if they disagree with what it's being spent for, that's where they should say, I have an issue with this expenditure. But to come to a village board meeting and say, I've got a list of items, I want to know what this is for. Drug testing for an employee. That's pretty self-explanatory. And I have to be honest with you, I am kind of a very sarcastic individual anyway. So sometimes people get a little irritated because I am sarcastic. You know, the old, what's that, the old, here's your sign. Yeah. You know, so I have to be very careful because I understand I'm in a position where I should not be sarcastic. But when someone says, you know, what is this drug testing of an employee? It's drug testing of an employee. Okay. Again, why would anyone not know what that is before you come to a board meeting? If you have a question, we have a finance director, go to him. Ask him. Okay? If you have a question about an ordinance, ask him. You have an ordinance review committee. You have a trustee sitting up there who's in charge of the ordinance review committee. Go talk to that trustee one-on-one and find out. If you want some changes, go talk to that trustee one-on-one. Okay? It's not your soapbox sitting up there. We're there to get business done. Now, you're going to see inside the Sauk talk. You know, what's happening in Washington and what's happening in Springfield. You need to make sure you tell your trustees, we don't want it in Sauk Village. There's no reason for it.
You know, it just
It's
seems
trying
like
to turn a business meeting into a campaign meeting.
that's exactly right, and all they're trying to do is impress their followers, that they're asking questions.
Questions every
And
night.
it's really
That's all it
stupid
is.
questions.
Campaign.
That's right.
What it says to me is they are so ignorant on issues, how are they gonna represent me as a trustee? I feel like, girl, you do not know any of these issues beforehand. You had more access to all the other trustees and the mayor, finance director, all the people at the village hall than I do. That's why we elected you to be there for us. And they just make themselves look
And they're not
ignorant.
getting paid for the meeting, they're getting paid for that knowledge.
Right.
And doing that homework.
Yes.
I mean, when I was a trustee, I can't tell you, I would pick up my packets, I would read through them, I would have a highlighter, I would highlight stuff I didn't know. You know, I was in here talking, if there's a financial issue, I was in here talking to the finance director, if there's something I need to talk to the mayor about when I was a trustee, I would go in and ask for clarification from the mayor. If I need to go talk to the ordinance review committee chairperson, I would go talk to them. I would have all my homework done before I came here and sat on Tuesday night. Then, on Tuesday night, if there was anything that I disagreed about, if there was something that I still had a concern about, that's where I brought it up. And I would say, for the record, I want to make sure that I do not agree with this ordinance, and here's why. Again, just the research. You know, trustees get paid $125 per meeting, so you're right, they don't get paid for the meeting. I mean, it's a pittance. Because the amount of hours that I used to put into being a trustee, the amount of hours I put in for being mayor, doesn't even come close. I don't even make minimum wage. And even as a trustee, I didn't even make minimum wage. Okay? My first job, I worked, I made $2.50 per hour. As a trustee, I was making less than that. Okay? So, because it takes time, because you're going to have to do your research. You're going to have your state statute handbook in your hand. You're going to have to be online Googling, saying, what does state statute say about this? Because I don't have all the information on this. You're going to have to go out and say, what's other communities doing? You know, I'm going to Stager's website. I'm going to Charlotte Heights website. I'm going to these. I want to see what surrounding communities, what ordinances they have in place. That's part of doing your job as a trustee. That's part of having the knowledge, and that's part of going out there and making sure that you're representing your residents, our residents, in the best manner.
You know, it's unfortunate, but it just seems that there are some trustees that feel that they're serving only a portion of the resident and not the entire resident.
You know, we serve as elected officials, all the residents. Now, there may be people that don't like me, and I can't say why. I ask Mark all the time, why don't they like me? Right? But you know what? I still represent them. You know? And that's what we have to remember. I don't just represent half this room, and then the rest of you say, you know, I don't like you don't like me, so I did nothing for you. Okay? We represent the whole time. We are elected at home, the entire village. Okay? We, as elected officials, have to take maybe your complaints. You know, I had a village resident the other night, Tuesday night, came up and pretty much said he doesn't like what I'm doing. Okay? I take that personally. Okay? And I'm sad because I've known that village resident for years. For years. Now, I look at what can I do better, and I'm trying to do the best I can. But when I was elected, I said I'd make the tough decisions. Tough decisions are not liked. How many times was this office used to be able to fill papers in jobs? I came into an office and started laying people off. That's not liked. Because people are saying, as mayor, you're supposed to hire people and fill those jobs. I came in here and telling union employees, do more with less. Because the village doesn't have the funds. I was not liked for that. All right? So you know, as you think about stuff as we go along, you know, tough decisions are not like, you know, when we let the dispatchers go, I knew a lot of those dispatchers. Remember, I was a cadet on the police department for years. That was a tough decision. But as a mayor, I can't think of my personal feelings toward individuals in that job. I gotta think of the other 10,500 residents that are sitting here. I gotta think about what's best for the village. Not just what's best for me, because I'm gonna keep some of my friends, or people who are no longer my friends, because they felt that I laid them off. But what were we able to do as a board? We gave them 3 months severance. We tried to make sure it helped them try to find other jobs. They refused because of their bitterness or because of their anger. There's nothing I can do about that. I did everything I could. We could go on and on about stuff that we've done. It's tough. Hours of sleep missed. And my wife can tell you, she tells me, you know, there's some nights she's afraid to even sleep next to me because when I'm talking about village business, you know, and I'm waving my arms, you know. Some of the stuff I'm waving them at, some of them I'm punching. But depends how rough of a night that was at the village board meeting. But again, the tough decisions. Your trustees have to make tough decisions. You know, you think it's easy to say, okay, we're going to save the village $350,000 this next year, but we're going to lay off 5 employees. It's not easy. We didn't lay them off. We let them go. We cut the entire department. But it saved you, residents, $350,000 a year. So, yes.
I don't know if you said anything or not, but about that whole deal, it was funny about, I think it was 2 weeks ago on WBM, they were talking about dispatch centers in the state of Illinois, that by 2017, they're going to be phasing them out all over the state. They want to go to, they don't want each little community having these, but they have a whole news report on it. That that's the way of the future, that's what everybody's going to have to do.
Yeah, joint dispatch is a way of the future. Again, as a village, we try to make sure that we're proactive. As a village, we try to make sure that we're looking at the future. And when we went to the joint dispatching, we knew it was already in the works. And that's part of having a voice down in Springfield. As part of dealing with your state representatives, we knew that in 2017 this was coming up. So rather than spending additional $350,000 a year, think about 2017, that was what, it was $900,000 we would have to spend to continue having a dispatch center here that's going to be going away by 2017, 2018. So we saved the village residents over about $1 million rather than just keeping them and being proactive. We were the first community to go along with Cow Park. So again, that 2017 may get pushed out, but you're going to see a lot of communities that are jumping on board because we know whenever the state says you have to do something, they end up pushing it out. Okay? There's other things that the state says we have to do. I mean, how many people see on there about your license? You no longer be able to use your license at the airport.
Yeah.
All right. That's got pushed out. Okay, you still feel safe. You don't have to go get yourself a passport yet. But they're working on that.
I think the thing that isn't brought out as much on dispatch as it should be is that we had antiquated equipment that we were dealing with. So it was, could we really hold off till this equipment just was totally outdated and unusable? Or you took a big hit when you did this, and I appreciate that you did take that hit. I mean, we got dispatch, new equipment, and it was easy to make that decision because previous mayors thought about doing it and didn't. Some communities did it 20 years ago, but it got to the point where our equipment really was outdated. So it was a big hit, and I think it was a good hit.
All right, after we went, our equipment failed. Totally failed.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to do some really fast scrambling. After we made a decision, we started moving forward. The next thing you know, they're saying the equipment over the side of the radio room just quit. And they wanted us to spend more money on something that we're going to move out of. So there was, no one understands what went on with that dispatch meeting. The amount of meetings. There were some days we had daily meetings. There was monthly meetings. There was weekly meetings. There's still meetings going on every single month that deals with the dispatch center to go over any issues that we had and to get those issues resolved so that we can continue providing good service. Yes.
Well, I don't know if you told anybody about the negotiation you did with the dispatchers before, you finally had to get rid of them. It's not like you just told them, we can't afford you. You gave them the bottom line and told them, this is what we've got to have in order to keep you guys as dispatchers. But I've never known a union to give anything up, so...
Yeah, we made it very clear. We went and we put our case to the union, and we said, if we go this route, here's what we're going to save. We tried to keep the employees. We said, if you can work with us and get us down to this number, we'll continue keeping the dispatch there, even though we knew it was going to cost us an additional $2 million to update our equipment. But the union employees refused to take it, so that's why we ended up going forward with the Joint Dispatch Center. Like I said, we were one of the first companies to go with, one of the first villages to go with CalPark. CalPark is now, I think they're working right now in negotiations with 2 or 3 other communities. So CalPark, I wish everyone could see what they have over there. It's unbelievable. It's like when you're watching TV and you see all this stuff that you thought you'd never see. We haven't. You know, the future is what CalPark does.
David, they weren't at that open meeting, were they, when you had Kurtz and the other,
Some of the dispatchers were.
No, I meant the company that we took.
Yes.
Oh, they were?
Yep, we had Kurtz, which is Kurtz's CalPark. We had Linwood, which is it Sauk?
I remember
East
it as
Mountain?
being Kurtz, that's
Okay.
why I didn't think.
Yep, so we had Linwood, and then we had Butts.
Right, I remember. Well, I thought they were the best too.
So,
Oh, can I, another reminder? Here, I see emissions, they're not sending us emissions letters.
Correct.
So we have to go online, I don't know if everybody knows that.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
You're not getting your emissions letter anymore, you're not getting your renewal for your license plates anymore.
Or your driver's license.
Or driver's license. Yep, so all these cost savings that the state is saving. One good thing is, I find humorous in a way, but I'm sure people got tickets that find humorous. A lot of communities were cashing in on this. I work up in Elmhurst. Schaumburg, which has the big malls up there, had their police officers just driving through ticketing people who didn't have their license plates renewed. And the state now is giving they passed that, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What, are they giving a forbearance or something?
Yeah, they're giving them a little bit of time.
Oh, good.
I think you get a warning the first time.
Okay.
I think they did pass that, yes.
What was she saying? Was it vehicle emissions? I didn't hear about that.
Me neither.
I didn't know about that either.
Yeah, you're not getting your vehicle
You have
emissions
to go,
letters anymore.
So how do you know when it's due?
When you go
you
to your
have to go
license plates.
online.
You go online.
You get a card, and you've got, you should have.
No, she's saying that they're not.
No, they're not giving cards anymore. You have to go online, they said. And they said this year it was the even.
No, when you pass, you
Even
get a
numbers.
card and it has an
Oh,
expiration.
I know, but who keeps it?
Oh, yeah.
I know, because that's what my son told me.
What happened for me was I had to get new license plates, and when I was going to do license plates, I said, you have to do your emissions test.
So in other words, don't wait till last minute to get your
Right.
plates.
Right.
Okay. Well, what if you order your plates on?
It's in my
You're supposed to
No,
say
it'll
this,
default to a, it's not past duration.
Because I order mine.
but they do still send
Right.
letters out through my driver's license,
Anything else?
because I just got one.
We got 4 minutes, and I know we've got chili cook-off getting ready to start here in half an hour. The doors are open, but Rose, the doors are already open, so we might be getting people in. But 12 o'clock, 12-ish, I think we're going to have the judging, and 12:30 starts the feeding everyone. Hopefully we'll get the judging done early so people can start getting fed. But again, I appreciate everyone coming out. There's a lot of things going on. Make sure you check the village website. Make sure if you're not an e-alert, get on your e-alerts. I know on the back table, there's things that's happening in the month of March. If you need your Sauk Talk, get your Sauk Talks. I think it's in there also. So, again, thank you everyone for coming out. I love these events. I like the back and forth, and I like to be able to talk to everyone. And I appreciate everyone here. Thank you very much.
One thing I skipped before we leave, where's the cupcake?
Yeah, and you know what, I missed the February ones, that's why I'm going to St. Patrick's Day.
Where's the cupcake?
Linda said she's sorry.
Oh,